Ladies and gentlemen, close your eyes for a moment and imagine you are standing in the great city of Athens, more than 2,400 years ago. The marketplace is alive with voices, traders bargaining, poets reciting, politicians making promises. And there, in the middle of it all, stands an old man. He is barefoot, simple in appearance, but his eyes shine with a fire that makes even the most powerful men nervous. His name is Socrates. Socrates never claimed to be a teacher. He never demanded respect. In fact, he only claimed one thing: I know that I know nothing. Yet, this humble confession became the seed of wisdom for the entire world. And on the last day of his life, facing his own death, he left us with advice that can still change your life, my life, and the life of anyone who dares to hear it. That advice was not a command, not a list of rules, but a single question. A question that pierces through illusions. A question that wakes us from the sleep of routine. And that question is, am I living a life worth living? Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. Think about that. He wasn't talking about money. He wasn't talking about status. He wasn't even talking about comfort. He was talking about the courage to look within, to examine, to question, to live consciously. Now, let me tell you a story. On the day of his trial, Socrates stood before hundreds of citizens who wanted him silenced. He was accused of corrupting the youth by teaching them to question authority and of disrespecting the gods. Imagine the pressure. Imagine the fear. Most men would beg for mercy. Most men would compromise. Most men would trade truth for survival. But Socrates? He stood tall and declared, I would rather die having spoken in my own way than live speaking in yours. Because he had already asked himself the great question, what is a life worth living? And his answer was clear, a life of truth, of integrity, of courage. Now, let us bring this wisdom into our own lives. How many of us wake up each morning without purpose, rushing into the same routines, chasing after what everyone else is chasing? Money, likes, approval, status. But stop for a moment. Ask yourself honestly, am I living a life worth living? This question can shake you. It can hurt you. But it can also heal you. Because the truth is, we don't fail in life because of lack of answers. We fail because of lack of honest questions. Socrates once had a student who wanted wisdom. Instead of answering, Socrates took him to a river and suddenly held his head underwater. The young man struggled desperately, kicking, fighting, until finally Socrates released him. Gasping for air, the student shouted, Why did you do that? And Socrates calmly replied, When you desire wisdom as strongly as you desired that breath, then you will find it. That story is not just about philosophy. It is about life. Ask yourself, do I desire growth, truth, purpose, as much as I desire comfort? Or am I living half asleep, just following the noise of the world? My friends, let me share a truth. Every problem you face in life can be transformed if you ask the right question. When you fail, don't ask, why me? Ask, what can I learn here that will make me stronger? When someone betrays you, don't ask, how could they do this? Ask, what can this teach me about my own strength? When you feel lost, don't ask, what do others expect of me? Ask, what do I truly desire? This shift changes everything. Socrates lived his whole life teaching not by giving answers, but by asking questions. Because answers can fade, but questions, the right questions, stay with you forever. Now let me make this personal. Imagine today is your last day. Imagine you are standing, like Socrates, facing the end. If you ask yourself, did I live a life worth living? Would your heart whisper yes, or would it remain silent? This is not meant to scare you. It is meant to awaken you. Because life is not measured by years, but by the depth of how we live them. And here is the beauty. You don't have to be a philosopher, a king, or a hero to live a life worth living. You only need to be honest. Honest enough to examine yourself. Honest enough to admit your fears. Honest enough to chase what truly matters. Socrates' death was not a tragedy, it was a triumph. Because he showed us that a life of truth is stronger than the fear of death. So today, let his last advice echo inside you. Question your choices. Question your habits. Question your fears. And above all, question your purpose. Because when you ask, "Am I living a life worth living?" and you dare to answer honestly, you begin to live with clarity, with courage, with freedom. And one day, when your own life comes to an end, you will not regret, you will not complain. You will smile, knowing that you, like Socrates, truly lived. Thank you.